Thank you, Ms. Sherelle, for that introduction. And hello, everyone. Good day. And I am just so happy that I could be with y'all here today, hearing these amazing talks. I mean, Ms. Sherelle, we really need to push people watching the replay on this because it has really been a phenomenal conference. Well, I'm America's Relaxation Doctor. I'm a physician, I'm a business owner, I'm a caregiver, I'm a human. And yes, like all of you, I have stress. And in fact, I have multiple stressors. But just backing up my story a little bit brief, Ms. Sherelle said some of it. I was born in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I've always wanted to be a doctor since an early age. And at that point, I knew that you just needed to be smart and you wanted to help people. So I went to school, I went to college, I went to grad school, I worked hard, studied, and I didn't get in initially. But during that time, my mother's health actually started to go down. I would happily help her go to her doctor's appointments and do what I can do to help her. Also at that time, and my auntie and my uncle, which were also older, they needed help. And so I would go by and help them out as much as I could, anywhere from cutting grass, taking them to the grocery store, just kind of helping out wherever I needed to. And I did all this while preparing to go into medical school again, applying again. Thankfully, at that time, my mom's health improved and stabilized. And I was actually, during this time, I was actually even a CNA. So, Ms. Sherelle, you have two CNAs on the panel. I used to work in nursing homes. And Dr. Wright, I totally understand the struggle. And I feel, honestly, that's what's made me even more compassionate. I'm very compassionate in general. But when I see those aides struggling in the hospital, there's nothing for me to go over there and help them, turn a patient, do whatever. So I totally understand that. And so being a CNA definitely has struggles. But, trying to get into medical school, I was a CNA all the while preparing myself for medical school. Well, after a few years of living life and applying to medical school, I finally got in. I took a trip to New Jersey. And so the first 2 years of medical school, they're basically in the classroom. And the second 2 years are clinicals where you have the patient interactions. And yes, I did have an excellent time. There were many ups and downs, but it was a wonderful experience. So after I graduated medical school, I went back home to Indiana and I did my 3-year family medicine residency. And I know things are different now, but back then it really didn't encourage or promote us taking care of ourselves as far as like stress reduction. And residency at that time was kind of like something to get through. You learn as much as you can about taking care of patients, but it really wasn't stressed about, making sure you take care of yourself. But again, like I said, it's different now. And I'll admit that, back then when I had the time, I would go get pedicures and, maybe have a massage here and there. And, while this was wonderful, there are many times, and of course now you can appreciate it in hindsight, to perform self-care and do some relaxation techniques. Well, after residency, I was recruited to where I am now, West Texas. But here as the attending, that's where the buck stops. I'm running things from the clinic, the hospital, being on call. And yes, it was definitely stressful. And I was a caregiver. My mom and my older sister actually moved to West Texas from Indiana. And I would take my mom to her doctor's appointments, help out where I could. And at that point, she was pretty independent, but still needed some help. And this is still while practicing medicine full-time, full scope. And, with my mom over the time, her kidneys grew weaker and soon her heart got weaker and she was actually scheduled to have heart surgery, but then she passed away before this was done, and which of course was devastating. And currently I'm a caregiver to my older sister who also lives where I am in Texas, taking her to her doctor's appointments, helping her with things like that need to get done. And, I kind of share all this background story because out of years of practicing medicine with responsibilities and frustration, my stress just kept getting worse. I kind of got to this breaking point, poor coping skills, getting an attitude, not being the person who I know I am normally, bubbly, happy, cheerful, go lucky and stuff. But I actually got to this point where I was honestly thinking about would it be better if I wasn't around? I'm just putting it out there. And I hated that. I hated that feeling. And I really realized that this is not the point where I wanted to be. This is not how I wanted my life to be. And I didn't want to live my life this way. And I knew things had to change. Furthermore, as a family medicine physician, I see what unmanaged stress does to people. Not only am I a caregiver, I have multiple patients who are caregivers and who are quite frankly stressed out. Okay. Stressed out because they may feel alone. They don't have no help. They're caring for a loved one who they see is declining, many different reasons. And although the cause of the stress can be varied, the results are still the same. Chronic unmanaged stress causes problems. It causes big problems. Your work can suffer, your relationships suffer, your health suffers, you suffer. And so I charge myself as America's relaxation doctor to help those individuals, including caregivers, learn about incorporating relaxation into their lives so that they can thrive and not just survive. So my talk is going to be about 5 relaxation tips for the caregiver. And before I start, I wanted to just share with y'all a few statistics. And the information I'm sharing is coming from a few different sources like the CDC and AARP. So listen to this. 11% of caregivers state that their role has caused their physical health to decline. There are physical manifestations to their unmanaged stress. 45% of caregivers report chronic conditions, including heart attacks, heart disease, cancer, diabetes, and arthritis. Caregivers have a 23 higher level of stress hormones and 15% lower level of antibody responses than non-caregivers. 10% of primary caregivers report that they are under physical stress from the demands of assisting the loved ones that they care for physically. And then women who spend 9 hours or more a week caring for a spouse increase their risk of heart disease by 100%. That's 100. So being a woman caring for your spouse increases your risk dramatically of acquiring heart disease. 72% of caregivers report that they had not gone to the doctor as often as they should. And 58% of caregivers state that their eating habits are worse than before they assumed the role as a caregiver. And then finally, the final statistic is caregivers between the age of 66 and 96 have a 63% higher mortality rate than non-caregivers of the same age. I mean, y'all, these are some amazing statistics. I mean, just mind-blowing. But let me just go back just a little bit and briefly talk to y'all about stress. So, short-term stress can actually be a good thing in a matter of speaking, and I can place it into context. If you need to flee from danger, save yourself or save others, if you need to defend yourself, if you need to give a presentation, something that's short-term, if you need to meet a deadline, stress can actually help you with this. But after this acute or short-term stressor is over, your body needs to go back into its calm state. But then there's chronic stress. Let me take you through a possible caregiver scenario. Okay, so as a caregiver, whatever stage you're in, if you're like first starting out, you may be enthusiastic, you may be happy about caregiving, you're going to tackle on the world, you're going to just save everybody. Okay, but then over time, you might start thinking, well, this might not be everything that I signed up for. What am I doing? You didn't know things were going to be like this. How are you feeling? You might have your own personal issue that you're going through. You may or may not have help or support. Then further on down the line, you just outright tired. You could be fed up. You could be stressed. You could be frustrated. I mean, chronic stress is really no joke. And there are plenty of reasons why you can be stressed as a caregiver. Caring for a spouse or other loved one, living with the person who needs care, caring for someone who needs constant care, just like 24/7 care, feeling alone, feeling helpless or depressed, really not being able to live the life that you intended because you're caregiving, money problems on top of all that, right? Then the uncertainty of not knowing the next day or even the next moment, what that's going to be like, spending many hours, having too little guidance from healthcare professionals, having no choice about being a caregiver. Like someone else mentioned, it might be you might be taking care of someone that you didn't have the best life experience, but now you're in the role where you're having to care for them. And not having good coping skills or problem solving skills of your own. And then feeling the need to give care at all time. Those are definitely reasons why you can be stressed. And then being subjected to those constant stressors and not being able to manage those stress responses is what actually causes the problem. And it's that chronic stress that can have those detrimental consequences. And honestly, chronic long-term stress can literally affect your physiology. It affects your health. It can, lower your immune system. You get those frequent colds, you're always sick. It elevates your blood pressure. It contributes to your heart disease and diabetes, affects your menstrual cycle. It affects your GI system. When you're upset and you're stressed, your whole body isn't just worried about digesting a meal. You're in that survival mode. You have low libido. You have the anxiety, the depression, the poor self-esteem. You even develop memory issues. So there's some signs of caregiver stress. But how do you know that you're stressed as a caregiver? Dr. Lord mentioned some things. But it's definitely worth repeating. You're increasingly frustrated. You're not happy. You just feel sad. You may overreact to things. Just little small things may set you off. Having frequent headaches or other pains or other health problems. It may be hard for you to concentrate. You may actually neglect your own needs and responsibilities. Missing your own medical appointments. You saw those statistics that I mentioned before. And then you might be feeling flat out fatigued or tired. You're not sleeping enough or you're sleeping too much. You feel isolated. You're gaining and losing weight. You're becoming easily irked or angry. That can totally happen. And then losing interest in the activities that you used to enjoy. Depressed, angry, and resentful. So many different things, drinking or smoking more. It's just so much, y'all. There's a lot more. But, needless to say, chronic stress can affect your work performance. And then finally, you may even be having to have another job, a job that you may be getting paid for in addition to being a caregiver. So your relationships suffer. Just you can understand every aspect of your life is affected by chronic unmanaged stress, which actually brings me to the crux of this talk. So I'm going to be sharing with y'all 5 relaxation tips. There are many, many more. And keep in mind that what may help one person may not be as effective for another person. So that's why it's important to learn about many different modalities to see what will be most beneficial for you. And also, please, please, please keep this in mind. An overwhelming majority of relaxation techniques are self-care practices. They are very, very helpful, but they do not address the stressor at the root of the stresses of the root of the problem. You're still a caregiver. You're still going through things, but it's the relaxation techniques that I'm going to share with you that will help you mitigate those detrimental effects of chronic stress for you. But you still have those stressors, okay? So we're going to get started. The first one is breath work, and you can write these things down, breath work. And in my humble opinion, breathing is the cornerstone of relaxation or stress management. Being able to slow your breathing, control your breathing is key. But why, you may ask? Why is that? Well, we have the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. So when you're in that fight or flight, sympathetic, stressed out mode, your breathing changes. It gets more shallow. It gets shorter. As your heartbeat increases, your respirations increase, your muscles tense up, all in preparation for that fight or flight response. And so there are different techniques that people use to deep breathe, and deep breathing actually helps activate the other part of your nervous system called the parasympathetic nervous system. And this signals to your body, hey, I'm calm, I'm chill, I'm safe, I can digest, I can relax. And so we're going to go through a demonstration today. So all of you out there who are listening or listening on the replay, you can still follow this. And we're going to be doing what's called box breathing. There's many different forms of deep breathing exercises. Box breathing can actually be particularly helpful when relaxing because you can do this at any time, okay? It can be implemented before, during, after stressful experiences. And it uses 4 simple steps. It's titled box breathing because you want to like visualize a box with 4 equal sides as you perform this exercise. And let's go ahead and start it. So, the box has 4 corners. We're going to inhale for 4 counts, hold for 4 counts, exhale for 4 counts, and then hold for 4 counts. Now, I can't see y'all out there, so we're just going to do it. And I want y'all to close your eyes and just kind of listen to my voice and hear my voice. And we're going to do this for 3 cycles. Okay, let's go. Close your eyes. You're going to inhale for 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. One more time. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Okay, you can open your eyes. This just calms it down a little bit, and you can do it anytime. I remember one speaker said she used to go into the restroom and turn on the fan and just scream to let out her frustration. But one of the things you can also do is you can box breathe. Go to the restroom. You got to go there anyhow for your natural duties. Do some deep breathing while you're in there. And you can perform this anytime. Okay, the second relaxation technique is listening to music. I mean, music really has the ability to change the mood, whether it's calming music, it's upbeat, comforting. Listen to your favorites from back in the day. It really brings back those nostalgic times where things were good. It just makes you feel happy. It lifts your mood. And if you happen to be doing your caregiving activities in which you don't need to do a lot of talking, put on some music. If you're in the presence of your person that you're caregiving for, put music on them for them to enjoy as well. And maybe even consider putting on music that they like, the type of music from like back in the day that can make them feel more calm as well. The next thing is taking an extra long shower. Running water is calming, it's soothing, it's therapeutic. It puts the water on those tense muscles, and even place some drops of essential oil in the shower. It helps effervesce the whole bathroom. And this, you can use this moment as a time to talk to yourself or not, just enjoy the water, use a scented body wash, and then just smell that lovely fragrance, do some deep breathing in the shower, and just kind of relax and calm things down. The next one is actually some mini meditative moments. Now, I don't know if you've heard of this concept before, but what that is these are moments in time in your day that you can create and bring to you a sense of calm. And typically they are of short duration, but you can mindfully create a thought or perform an action, a brief action in that moment that will kind of recenter you, redirect your thoughts, and calm your mind. And you can actually do this as much as you want. Then you can stretch and move your body. Having chronic stress can wreak havoc on those muscles. It causes tension. It causes loss of range of motion, and of course, pain. I mean, a lot of people, when they're stressed, they're in that clenched state, shoulders up, clenching jaw. They're constantly thinking of things. You get that back pain, soreness, especially if you're in the caregiving role in which you're actually physically like turning your person you're caregiving for. So I'm going to urge you to learn how to incorporate some stretches as far as your relaxation techniques. Look at videos online to follow. Even put them on your phone in which you can learn how to stretch out those muscles. And when it's like when you're in pain and having to caregive as well, I mean, it just makes it so much worse. Okay, so I want to give you a bonus too. I couldn't just stop where I am. Let me just give you a bonus. I want you to nourish your body. And keep in mind that stress is definitely a different monster, but you need to give your body something to work with, right? Make the effort to eat as healthy as you can. And I know this isn't necessarily a relaxation technique, but it's very important, okay? Start incorporating like green smoothies into your diet. Supplement if you have to. B vitamins, among others, are great for dealing with your stress. And just try it daily for a week. Change your diet if you're not eating the best. Make a conscious effort to improve what you're putting into your body to give your body something to work with in these stressful times. There's nothing worse than having to perform or work when you are ill or when you are in pain. And yes, many of us have to do what we have to do, but no matter where we are in our health journey, let's just take an effort and make the best of it. Okay. So, with all that said, I thank you very much for your attention, but I'm not leaving without giving y'all a free gift. Okay. If you are interested in learning many more relaxation tips for caregivers, I've actually created for this conference a free PDF called 25 Relaxation Tips for the Caregiver. I've only talked about a few today, but in addition to that, I'm giving y'all 25 more tips. It's free, okay? I want you to go to www.caregiverrelax.com. CaregiverRelax.com to get this valuable information. Caregiverrelax.com. So I am Dr. Deitrick Gorman. Thank you for your attention. I'm a board certified family medicine physician. I'm also known as America's Relaxation Doctor. I'm a best-selling author and I'm a speaker. And I help those individuals learn how to incorporate relaxation in order to have a more healthy, happy, and productive life. I've shared with you these relaxation tips and a bonus. And as I mentioned, there's so many more. And if you'd like to take your relaxation further, I have best-selling books about a workplace stress and frustration. I have an inspirational coloring book to calm your mind. And I also have created a unique gratitude journal for purchase. Just go to drdeitrickg.com. That's DRDEITRICKG.com. Thank you for your time, y'all. I really appreciate your attention. And I really hope that this provided some value for you. And just above all, remember to all you caregivers out there, you are a blessing to those you care for. Keep your head up and learn how to incorporate relaxation in your life. Thank you.